What is abuse? Enfield Disability Action. Enfield Video Makers present Facefront Inclusive Theatre, the Broken Silence training programme. A man called Ilan signs the introduction with a female voiceover.
Hello, my name is Ilan. I'd like to share some true stories with you that have been gathered together from different disabled groups. People with physical or sensory or learning disabilities, or with mental ill health, and some people who have multiple disabilities. With the help of Facefront Inclusive Theatre, they have come together and created a play, and then a local video group has come in and filmed it so we can present it to you. As you share their experiences, I want you to think about what could have been done to change the outcome. Think about what you would have done in their situation, and who has the power to make a difference. Now, let's look into the mirror as the Broken Silence drama group presents Invisible Reflections.
A mirror appears with the title Invisible Reflections. The camera scans a group of people, their different nationalities, disabled and non-disabled, men and women.
We're holding up the mirror, remembering who we are, sharing our own stories, unlocking our hearts, reflecting our reality, inviting you to see, as you look into the mirror, what do you perceive? Sometimes I'm stubborn, impatient, arrogant, selfish, uncooperative, self-indulgent, with a temper that flashes, searing like ice. Sometimes, really, I'm not very nice. But we're looking in the mirror, remembering who we are, sharing our own stories, unlocking our hearts. I'm gentle, loving, strong and kind, independent with an inquisitive mind, joyful, friendly, zany, humorous, empathic, sensitive, caring, generous. So we're holding up the mirror, helping you to see past the usual stereotypes you think that we might be, reflecting our reality, compelling you to see. Stare into the mirror. Who do you perceive?
Each person has seen a different authority figure reflected.
How do you know if you're the abuser? How do you recognise what is abuse?
At the Merry Hills pub, a male wheelchair user struggles to enter a doorway, while inside the pub, people enjoy themselves. The landlord serves a customer.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, it's bleeding hard work being a publican, landlord.
Yeah, I know, Dad, but we make a good living out of it. Especially around here. You get the old bill from the police station, you get the people who work in the hospital, and you also get the housing estate up the road.
And the loony bin where this lot come from.
The wheelchair user finally enters and slams the door.
Oh, Christ, not another one.
Here, sorry, mate. I've already got one wheelchair in here. Not enough room, alright?
But why? Because you're a fire risk, that's why. Bugger off.
I've just come for a drink. I'm meeting a mate.
We'll meet him somewhere else.
The wheelchair user turns to go.
You've got to go, then.
At another table,
Oh, that's good.
Oh dear, I don't want people like this here. I've had enough of them at work. I don't want them in my social time as well. You do understand. I'm not being rude.
Of course we understand.
I feel the same way.
Yes.
That was my mate you kicked out, and it ain't right.
Yes, I agree. You should let him in.
The woman takes hold of the wheelchair.
He wouldn't enjoy himself here anyway. Much better to go somewhere more suitable.
She brings the man back to the table.
Oh, he'll be all right, Dad. Let him in. He's been here before.
It's bad the way they treat these days. I just find it unfair.
Yeah, don't worry. Tell me about it. Happens all the time. Being in a wheelchair, the first commandment is, thou shalt not get anywhere easily.
Yeah, and for me, it's thou shalt not get any support easily.
What do you mean?
It's after I first had my illness. Me and my wife decided we should separate, so I really need some help to get on with my life. You know, basic things like help getting up, getting dressed, that sort of thing. So I called up social services, and sometime later, a social worker came round for an assessment visit.
The picture fades. The mirror appears with the title Mr. Green's House.
I am Mrs. Smith, the social worker. I understand you've asked for help from our department, and I have come for more details.
Please, sit down. Would you like a cup of tea?
Yes, please.
Do you take sugar?
Yes, please.
Well, help yourself.
Mrs. Smith is talking to Mr. Green, a wheelchair user. Mrs. Smith helps herself to a cup of tea.
So, Mr. Green, how do you think our social services can help you?
A woman enters the room. Mrs. Smith gets up.
How do you do?
I'm Mrs. Green.
I see your husband can meet his basic needs.
Basic needs?
I see he's made a lovely cup of tea here. He won't need any help from our department.
I've got a doctor's note here to say he will. We're getting a divorce.
You can't leave him now.
You social workers are all the same.
The two women are talking above Mr. Green. He is not involved.
So where does that leave me?
Oh, be quiet!
Back at the pub with Mr. Green.
I used to be considered funny and aggressive. No one could push me around. You could say I drunk too much, but I knew how to enjoy myself. Since I've had the illness, everything's changed. Surprising how fast your friends disappear when you become disabled. Suddenly, your life's not your own, and your business is some stranger's business. It's like they want to control you, and you don't recognise the person they say you are. Take my divorce, for example.
In the solicitor's offices, Mr. Robson is on the phone to Mrs. Smith.
Is that Mr. J. Robson, the solicitor?
Yes, it is. How can I help you?
I am Mrs. Smith from Social Services. I understand you are helping Mr. Green with his divorce. I think you should know that he is not able to make an informed decision. I think he should stay with his wife in his hour of need, and he should be treated differently from your ordinary clients, healthy ones, that is.
Well, thank you very much for the information. I'll certainly take it seriously. Goodbye.
Mr. Green in Mr. Robson's office.
So what kind of settlement are you looking for? You do understand what a settlement is.
I was thinking maybe 50-50.
That's out of the question. She's got the children to bring up, and then there's the housing costs. And you really can't make an informed choice, can you? So leave it to me. I'll discuss this matter with your wife and her solicitor, and we'll let you know the outcome.
You're being paid to represent me. Anyway, I was only joking. Of course I know I won't get 50%. Can't make choices. I've got a letter from the doctor that said so.
Don't worry, we'll sort it all out for you. Thank you and goodbye.
Mr. Green looking at his reflection.
How do you know if you're the abuser? How do you recognise what is abuse? Ignored, humiliated, squeezed. Is this abuse?
Mr. Green reflects on his experience. Back in the pub, a woman nervously walks away from a man at the bar.
Well, Dr. Moreau.
I'll have a large stiff one as usual. Some of my patients, you would not believe that such a bunch of woolly, moany old cretins existed. Take today in my surgery.
Mirror appears with the title The Doctor's Surgery.
Doctor, the therapist you reversed me to didn't know anything about my condition. In fact, all this stress and running around is making me worse.
Stand up, girl.
The doctor walks around the table.
Just as I thought.
And puts his arm on her shoulder.
How are you fixed for tomorrow evening?
She storms out. The doctor shrugs his shoulders.
Next.
A man enters in a wheelchair.
Hello, Doctor. I didn't want to bother you with this again.
Spit it out, man. I do have a quota to reach before lunchtime, you know.
I think it's my chest. I think it's getting worse.
I think I'm the doctor here. Allow me to be the judge of that. Now you know that worrying about it only makes it worse. So why don't you go away and come back when something's wrong? Next.
The man leaves. A female patient enters and sits down.
Doctor, the medication you give me seems to be making me worse.
I think I remember you.
The doctor gets the patient's notes out of the file.
Yes, it states here, quite clearly, that I am indeed correct in my diagnosis, and you're fine. Good day. Next.
The doctor thrusts the notes in her face. Another man in a wheelchair enters.
Good morning, Doctor. I wondered if you could...
You wondered? Do you know where you are and who I am? Do you know how hard I work? And what a drain on this country's precious medical resources your wondering is?
The picture fades back to the pub. Friends around the table and the doctor is at the bar.
Some of these people need to pull themselves together. It's all in their mind, just seeking attention.
Yeah, bloody nuisances.
The doctor walks away.
Now here's a nurse.
Hiya.
So what exactly do you do then?
What do I do? I'm the staff nurse of Mercy Ward.
A woman at the table recognises the nurse.
It's a mental health ward.
No one is unnecessarily restrained. There are no cells, no straitjackets. In fact, we treat everyone kindly and with consideration.
The woman signs with a voiceover.
No, don't let that nurse see me. I had a terrible experience with her. When I first went into hospital, I was desperate to feel better. I felt really frightened, like I couldn't cope. I didn't think I'd be able to last the next 5 minutes. I felt really helpless. When I got onto the ward, I felt really nervous, wondering what I'd let myself in for. But then I saw the other patients, they were all playing cards, and I felt really relieved.
The mirror appears. The mental health ward. 2 men sit at a table playing cards. 2 women sitting on sofa, smoking and fiddling nervously. A close-up of the clock. It says 10:32. The nurse from the pub wheels a trolley across the room.
Good morning, everybody. And how are we today? Medication time. Now line up, everybody. Come on, chop, chop.
2 men approach the trolley in line for medicine. The nurse hands the medication and cup of water to first man, hands different medication and water to second man. The deaf woman from the pub faces away and stands apart from the group.
You're new to us, aren't you?
The nurse shouts at the deaf woman, gets her file and looks at her notes, and then she picks up the medication and walks towards the woman.
Now then, Sarah.
Sorry?
Now then, Sarah.
You don't need to shout. My name is not Sarah, it's Sue.
Right. Well, now's the time when we help ourselves to get better.
But they make me feel sick.
What are you saying? You must take the treatment.
Sue takes the tablet.
And swallow, Sarah. It won't do you any good otherwise. Swallow. Let me look.
Forces her mouth open.
Ah, well done. Now that wasn't too hard, was it?
Clock now shows 13:35. Nurse returns with trolley.
Line up.
Sue hovers nervously at the back of the queue as others get their medication. Now, at the front of the queue,
Nurse, I'm feeling anxious and angry.
Of course you are. That's why you need to take your pill. It will help you to calm down.
No, I need to. Oh, I don't know. Hit a shower or something. It helped at home. Or just took my feelings through.
Well, you're not at home now, Sarah. And I haven't got time to talk. You need to take the pill.
I want to see the doctor. This pill makes me feel sick and stop me feeling.
Feeling what? Remember, you are in here because you are not well, and we know what's best for you, and that is to take this pill.
nurse forces tablet into Sue's mouth. Next medication time, 17:35, men are being served with medication. Sue is standing at the back of the queue with her arms folded over her chest. She does not approach the trolley.
Oh, aren't we feeling better now? Feeling so much calmer.
Nurse looks at Sue.
I said line up.
No, not this time.
Nurse grabs medication from trolley, walks towards Sue, forces tablet into her mouth, and Sue spits the tablet out.
No, I don't want to be a zombie like them. Because of your pill, then nothing on earth would make me take another one.
I haven't got time for this. Take it.
No.
You will take it.
I won't.
Oh, but you will.
Nurse scowls at Sue and presses alarm.
Our medication comes in all shapes and sizes. The usual. What's this funny?
Two male staff have entered the room. They pin Sue to the floor whilst another nurse prepares an injection. The picture fades. The mirror appears. Sue reflects.
How do you know if you're the abuser? How do you recognise what is abuse? Dominated, controlled, crushed. Is this abuse?
Back in the pub, Sue watches the nurse talk.
It's wonderful to know that our patients are relaxed and ready to return to normal health after the peaceful environment that we create for their benefit.
As the nurse walks through the pub, Sue follows with her eyes.
It's not easy trying to hold on to yourself when you're numb inside. I became unreliable. I couldn't work. I got worse with the worry of trying to pay my mortgage. I really, really wanted to work. I felt ashamed of myself. And then I had to go to the tribunal. People treated me like I was a cheat and a liar. They treated me like I was a criminal. They just didn't understand what I was feeling.
Picture fades. Mirror appears. The tribunal. The scene opens in black and white.
So remember, all rules and regulations must be followed. You are not to get emotionally involved. There is to be no sympathy. Just the application of rules and regulations.
Rules and regulations.
Remember, if you let one through, the floodgates will open. We shall all drown. And the cost would be enormous.
We won't let them through.
You can rely on us.
Sue sits in a waiting room with another woman. She stands up and paces about. They start signing to each other.
Feel like you're a criminal? You can't go home. You have to go and talk to them. There's no choice. Come on.
The woman pushes her towards the tribunal room. They sit down with 3 tribunal members. Sue is sat in front of the panel. The woman is the interpreter.
I understand you're applying for incapacity benefit.
Yeah, that's right. I've become unreliable. I feel trapped in my own home.
His examination, our doctor finds you physically fit. His conclusion was that you can work, so why you come here today?
But you can choose what I'm feeling. You can look into my brain, can you? And you can feel my pain.
Although you say you're suffering from depression, that doesn't stop you from working.
I can't work. Believe me. My sick pay's finished. I've got a mortgage and bills to pay. How am I meant to do that?
Your finances are quite a separate consideration. You'll have to go to income support for those. Our concern is simply whether you are fit for work.
Not as easy as that. How can I go to work? I need to be 100% first. And how am I meant to pay my bills? If I can't, my family will be thrown out. The worry is making me worse and worse. You just don't understand how difficult it is for me to cope.
That's no concern of ours. We're concerned only with the facts.
I go up and down.
Oh, good. You should work there.
And down.
Down, how far?
I'm frightened to say. In case it just all starts again.
If you won't talk about it, it is not a fact.
And we are concerned with facts.
Facts, rules, regulations, figures, files.
Facts.
You've really got to have something more seriously wrong with you, like cancer, if you're to be considered for medical retirement. Do you have any other illness?
I am ill. You just don't understand.
We will let you know our decision in 6 weeks' time.
6 weeks? Why so long? What's going to happen to me and my family?
That's all we've got time for. Thank you. Goodbye.
Sue reflects.
How do you know if you're the abuser? How do you recognise what is abuse? Manipulated? Intimidated? Throttled? Is this abuse?
Back at the pub, we see 2 groups at separate tables.
6 months I've been waiting for. I still don't know what benefits I'm allowed.
Oh, no, please, strangers. Ignore him. I had the same trouble with the DLA.
The DLA? What's DLA?
That's the disability living allowance. It's one of my responsibilities.
Well, we should make the forms easier, mate. They're a nightmare to fill in.
A nightmare? You've no idea how many people try and take advantage of the system. It's outrageous. Take you, for example. Why should you need DLA? You can walk into this pub, can't you? You've no idea just how difficult my job is. Every day a sea of faces and forms. Figures, voices. Always complaining. Always confused.
Mirror appears. The DLA challenge. Mirror fades to show two women dressed as clowns.
Introducing your favourite and mine, the incredible, the amazing, your social security host, Simon!
Here I am! We have got 4 contestants. Introducing to Andy!
Andy, a wheelchair user, is frantically pushed onto the stage.
Bill!
Bill, another wheelchair user, is also wheeled in.
Sue and Jill!
Sue and Jill are shoved onto stage.
For the first game, you have 1 minute to fill out your votes.
The contestants, apart from Sue, are swamped in yards and yards of paper by the clowns. Sue is busy filling in a seemingly never-ending form. Simon starts by talking to Jill.
You just fill up your form, teacher. You must be fit.
She must be fit.
You filled up your form, didn't you?
He says to Sue.
But you don't qualify.
Sue signs with an interpreter.
But I've been registered disabled for years.
Get out!
But I am disabled. What does he think he is?
Clown appears with the words, "Ah."
How far can you walk?
Title, Mobility Race.
And they're off!
Contestants start towards a finish line. Jill mimics slow motion running. Bill slowly makes his way forward, and Andy does not move at all. Jill then wins the race.
Jill, you lose because you can walk.
Look, I need money to pay my bills. I can't walk properly because I've got arthritis in my knees. I'm slow at learning and I just cannot work.
Out.
I just really need the help. It's not fair.
Clown appears with the words, "Never mind."
Now, Bill. You went halfway along, didn't you? Your benefit will cut in half. Andy, you're the winner.
What about me?
Says Bill.
Out.
Bill leaves.
What benefits in half? Couldn't believe it.
Clowns appear. Better luck next time. Title appears. The winner.
Oh, Andy Pandy, you have won. You have full plus benefit and carer.
Andy looks bemused as the word carers flashes. clowns and Simon wave goodbye, then disappear. Andy speaks.
Carers? What, you mean those overworked, untrained foul-mouthed idiots who come round at a time that suits them and do exactly what they think is right for me? No more late nights. No more going out drinking with my mates. No more fun. No more life. No thanks. I wouldn't let them in my house. Mind you, my house. They would see him off being a council property. They put a key in the front door and they would electrocute them. Get in the hallway, the room floorboards would collapse under them. Or they'd slip and break their neck on the slippery bathroom floor. But if they made it past all this, the collapsing ceiling would get them. But then, if by some chance the council's answer to Indiana Jones makes it past this, the boiler, yes, kindly misset to detonate by a council worker, would finally explode. And all of this because the housing repair team can't answer the phone. And when they do get to come round, can I?
Mirror appears. Andy reflects.
How do you know if you're the abuser? How do you recognise what is abuse? Embarrassed? Patronised? Suffocated? Is this abuse?
Back in the pub.
Hey, Teresa, we've been here ages. What happened to you?
Oh, right, not another one. Got people day centre in here. Do you want all my customers to leave?
What are you having?
Hey.
Oh yeah, I forgot you passed through.
What you doing in my cup then? Why don't you all...
So we're not wanted here.
Yeah, let's move on. We're in the way. Made that plain.
I'm settled here now. I ain't going anywhere else. Anyway, why were you late?
The bus driver wouldn't let us on the bus.
Bus driver wouldn't let you on the bus again?
Again. First there were 3 buses, we couldn't get on them. I wanted to go home, but Teresa wanted to come, so here we are. And this had such a rotten day. First there was the occupational therapist, then there was the agency worker with 2 carers. It was a terrible day.
Mirror appears. The assessment visit.
Good morning. We've come to look at your facilities.
3 people in white coats and a man in blue shirt barge past Teresa's companion from the pub.
Hello.
Hi, what's your name?
What did she say? I didn't understand her.
Don't know. Just not she won't know the difference.
I do know.
Anyway, it's her toilet time.
Toilet time.
I've been.
She's all right. She's been to the toilet.
The carers put on rubber gloves.
So who cares for Teresa?
I do. 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. The 2 carers come to help me bathe, huh? We're fine.
Can we see the bathroom, please?
Here's the bath. This is our facilities. This is what we use to wash.
One carer leans on the back of Teresa's wheelchair and the other sits on the arm, forcing Teresa to lean out of the way.
Oh no, that won't do. The bath's too low and the chair's not properly maintained. Don't use it again.
You're supposed to maintain it. I've been using it for 18 years.
18 years? Don't use it again. We'll get you a manual hoist.
The hoist won't fit in there.
So why don't you use a shower?
She hates showers.
I hate showers.
We're happy as we are. The carers help look after Teresa. All I want, I'm getting older and I need a little help to look after my daughter.
That's exactly why we're here. A new hoist. Until then, you wash her down in her chair.
Wash her down in her chair? Everybody needs a proper wash.
How long will it take before it arrives? Weeks, months, who knows?
In that case, we may have to suspend the carers.
I need a break.
The carers will look after her bathing when the new hoist comes, but they won't deal with her bag or her dressing.
Who does that then? Who does that? You!
So what will the carers do?
We'll suspend the carers until you've got the correct facilities. Agreed?
I suppose so.
So, does Teresa have any other needs or concerns?
Why don't you ask her?
I'm worried about the future.
The carers patronise her. She shrugs them off.
Who will look after my daughter when I can no longer do it?
Isn't she brave?
The tragedy, but she's always happy.
I'm not always happy.
Yes.
It's so good to know we can do our bit to make their lives so much better.
Yes, well, if that's all there is, we really mustn't rush. We're very, very busy at the moment. Thank you.
Nobody listens to me, Mum.
Teresa reflects.
I'm holding the feelings in my stomach. The dread. The frustration. The fears. I'm holding the feelings in my stomach. The anger. The rejection. The tears. You pretend to understand. You instruct to just agree. You joke and I join in. To protect the inner me. So I'm holding the feelings in my stomach. All the feelings I've tried to share. I'm holding the feelings in my stomach because you refuse to hear.
Back in the pub. Shot of people playing pool. At the bar, 2 police officers stand next to a couple.
Haven't I seen you somewhere before?
No, you haven't seen me.
The couple collect their drinks and go to a table.
What's up?
She doesn't want to talk about it.
Okay, but is there any way I could help?
I still haven't told anyone about it since it happened.
What happened?
I was at home. He came to my house. He was a friend.
Mirror appears. Jill's flat.
There might be a little bit of ice around.
Jill sits on sofa watching TV. We now see a man stroking his face and hair and looking conspicuous. He then gazes over his right shoulder.
You're looking lovely tonight, Jill.
From behind, he touches her hair and shoulder.
Your hair's so beautiful.
He sits beside her, his arm around her shoulder.
We're all alone. Let's have some fun.
He pulls her towards him.
I know you fancy me.
Pardon?
I want you.
He pushes Jill into a room and shuts the door. Jill is back on the sofa, wrapped in a duvet.
I'll come back for more, Jill. Don't you tell anyone now, because your husband won't love you anymore. Everyone will see you're dirty. Got it?
Jill and her husband sit together on the sofa.
You've been acting really strange for 2 weeks. Tell me, what's wrong with you?
It's not my fault. It wasn't my fault. It was Frank. I just don't know what to do. Who can help me? I don't know what to do.
Don't you remember, love? I went on the police. They will help us. I promise you.
Sam phoned the police. The police came. A policewoman spoke to me and the policeman spoke to Sam, and they took us down the station with the evidence. I went to the police doctor. He was a man, and he had to check me down there, which made me feel so dirty again.
It happened 2 weeks ago. The doctor won't find anything. She should have come to us sooner. Even then, there's not a lot we can do.
Yeah, well, that's the problem about these mentally handicapped girls. It's like she's not all there. Maybe that's a blessing.
She knows what's going on, all right.
Look, we've done our job now. Let's go.
Yeah, but what about the suspect?
The police question Frank.
We found evidence on the floor, so what happened?
Well, she wanted it, mate. I don't know why she's saying she didn't. Between you and me, she's a bit simple. And her husband, he's drunk half the time. You can't believe a word he says.
I can even lie to the police. But I am a drunk. When he knows I'm on still medication. No one was there to help us, to support us.
You can come and collect your quilt now.
Can't you come bring it to me? You know I live miles away. That means I'll have to take it back on the bus.
I'm really sorry, but I'm afraid we've had to drop the case. There wasn't enough evidence.
He raped me, don't you believe me? I didn't want to tell anyone, but I thought I must. Please, you've got to do something. Help me, please.
I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do now. The case is closed.
Mirror appears. Jill and Sam reflect.
How do you know if you're the abuser? How do you recognise what is abuse? Pitted, belittled, collapsed. Is this abuse?
The entire group reflect.
They think that you're tragic. No feelings, no thought. Pushing you, pulling you, until you're taut with rejection that covers the numbness inside, the sadness, the anger, self-doubt you can't hide. They say I'm a nuisance, a baby, a number, no name, a useless time waster, a pawn in the game, insignificant, nothing, a bad apple seed, a drain on the system. That's how we're perceived.
Can you see our beauty?
In the cast of Invisible Reflections, Amanda Allens was the carer, Sheila Barry was Mrs. Green and occupational therapist, Martin Bloomfield was Paul, Ramadan Kampalat, patient, tribunal officer and carer, Mo Cross, the tribunal officer and patient, Peter Faventi, Sam and patient, John French, Mr. Green, Anthony Kralik, Andy, David Mehmet, host and attendant, Shirley Mason, nurse, host assistant and voiceover, Paul Nicholas, nurse, SSD manager, tribunal chair and attendant, Emma O'Wow, host assistant, policewoman and patient, Olive Olney, social worker, nurse and Teresa's mum, Julie Parker was Sue, Sean Perry, policeman, Shani Pryor, Jill, Stanley Sestine, Bert, the barman, Lucia Tullio, Teresa, Stephen Wish, Dr. Monroe and Frank, and Cartin Thomas, the BSL interpreter, on screen. Artistic production was Face-Front Inclusive Theatre, directed by Annie Small, assistant directors Ilan Dweck and John French, poetry and song crafted by Cuban Red, set designer and prop maker Nelson Huxley, stage manager, access worker was Phil Bailey, access worker Emma O'Howe. Enfield video makers are Joan Brown, Sid Dawkins, Bill Ellis, Eddie Harris, Stan Lane, Ken Martin, Pat and Jean Matthews, Jim and Sylvia Meehan, Audrey Rawlins, Brenda Stacey and Kay Till. The editor was Stan Lane. Incidental music composed and performed by Fledge, which is Steve Ball on percussion, Joe Clack on guitar, Sarah Ross on vocals, Christian Fallon, the music engineer. The pub scenes were filmed at Merry Hills Public House in Enfield. Original music in pub scenes donated by Andy Pritchard with Band of Gold plus Legend, Patrick McCarthy, Tim Grimer and Tony Newell. Invisible Reflections was devised by Broken Silence with the help from Face-Front Inclusive Theatre and the disabled people of Enfield, who courageously shared their experiences with us and gave permission for some of their stories to be related and used as a training tool in an attempt to eradicate abuse of all kinds from the lives of disabled people everywhere. Thanks are due to service users and staff of Park Avenue Disability Centre, staff at Mind in Enfield, 1-to-1 Enfield, Enfield Disability Action, and the London Borough of Enfield Adult Protection Committee and the current and previous Assistant Directors of Social Services for the London Borough of Enfield, who have given this project their wholehearted support. Thanks also to Enfield Youth and Community Police, DHSS, Edmonton Green Surgery and Medical Staff Agency, and Middlesex University for lending props, costumes and posters, and to George for his advice. This project was originally conceived by Barbara Litchfield, Chief Executive of Enfield Disability Action, and her Board of Directors, and was managed by Martin Randall, EDA's Development Manager, who was instrumental in securing the funding that enabled the project to take place. Thanks are also due to the London Borough of Enfield Social Services Department, who provided the funding for the production of this video. Copyright Enfield Disability Action 2004. Audio description provided by Adept Transcription. Audio description voiceover was MCL. Adept is a disability equality company that provides transcription services to increase the access to information for disabled people. Adept welcomes any query which leads to increased inclusion of disabled people. We welcome feedback from any user of our products or services. Contact us on 01525 373964, the fax number 01525 850030, or email transcription@adept-uk.org, the website www.adept-uk.org. Or write to us at Audio Description, Adept Transcription, 6 Leck House, Lake Street, Leighton Buzzard, LU7 1TQ.